we grew nicely as a company, and we saw that the early adopters jump on. We had solos. I remember launching Clio. We launched our beta at ABA Tech Show in March of 2008.
Wow, the ABA Tech Show?
In Chicago. Wow. So it was the first conference. It was funny, we were about to throw in the towel because we initially had started trying to sell
How
Clio.
big is your company at this point?
2 people.
Oh,
me and Ryan. And we'd spent the better part of the year.
That's bananas.
2 people. We'd raised a total of about $100,000. Friends and family round. Valued the company at $1 million, by the way, so everyone's done well.
Typical number.
But your valuation's in the B's.
Last round we did with Series E, 1.6 billion.
Wow.
So
they've done well.
They've done well, and we saw this amazing response at the ABA Tech Show where some people came up to us and were almost hugging us, saying we've been waiting. Wow. These solos I was talking about that were waiting for somebody to solve their problems.
Do you think it was a generational thing too? I assume these were almost.
Well, it was a very polarized response, and it was partially generational, but not entirely. Where there was what Ryan and I called at that time the Facebook generation of lawyers that grew up using the web, grew up with Gmail, and they knew that the web was the future. And they, again, came up to us and said, thank you for building this. And then we also had people coming up verbally attacking us, saying, you guys are irresponsible to be offering a platform like this and inviting lawyers to trust a third party. Who do you think you are? And again, it was this very polarized response. And it was honestly about 50-50 in 2008.
That's when you know you're onto something. If people are
well, exactly. If you don't make somebody angry, it's probably not an interesting idea. And so what we realized, and what was very interesting, by the way, was all the on-prem vendors, the Amicuses and the Abacuses and the Time Matters of the world, the LexisNexuses, they started seeding this fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or FUD campaign about the cloud too, with all their consultants saying, what if these guys go belly up? You're going to lose all your data. What if they get hacked? And
was that in response to you?
In response to us. So that was also where we knew we were onto something.
Yeah.
We've got $1 billion company in the form of LexisNexis and these big established companies like Amicus attacking us because they're afraid and they know they can't innovate anymore. And we realized at that point that we'd either get dragged along by this conversation about security and is it ethical and so on, or we can lead it. We can lead that conversation. So that's very much what we did.
And it's hard to do that with $100,000.
Right.
Because you can't control the microphone at that point.
So here's one of my favorite Clio founding stories. Is we're pounding the pavement, pitching every VC and angel we can find back in 2008, and again getting this kind of heartbreaking feedback, which is this is one of the best decks we've ever seen. We love the business plan. We're just not writing checks right now.
Yeah, we just have money.
We're putting our heads in the sand. Yeah. Check back. It's probably like raising money right now, frankly.
Yeah. I've heard the saying, if you're not in kind of this legal world, they're not going to do it.
They're not. They're just putting their heads down and seeing
Which I think is a shame because I think this is the time where you actually.
It's a great time to build.
Money.
With the benefit of hindsight, I realize there's still scrappiness in our DNA from being founded in a recession that is helping us today.
When did you found your firm? When did the Blue firm start?
Well, it went through a couple iterations. It went through an original one in about 2006, 7, and then we kind of postponed everything as we grew the restaurant group up to about 2014, 15. And then somewhat to your point, we've talked about this multiple times, but right around 2014, 15, we just noticed this vacuum for entrepreneurial lawyers or lawyers who were business lawyers who had actually owned a business.
Yep.
So rather than sitting with a lawyer who said, I'm a business lawyer, and they had never went through the payroll crisis. I always joke and say, if you've never not had money for payroll, then you shouldn't be giving business advice.
I'm going to make payroll.
Yeah, how do you make payroll? Well, I mean, that's...
So I think that we started my firm in 2010, started 2009, and started thinking about the recession. If you don't know those hard knocks, man, like I remember my brother would be like, shit.
How
we didn't take a salary for a couple of years. We took no money because we had to grow. We had to pay employees.
Yeah, you look at that bank account balance and wonder how you're going to make payroll in 2 weeks.
Or people would say, why don't you advertise more? And you'd say, I don't. And I used to always get that question, and I'd kind of laugh, kind of smirk to myself and say, well, we're barely the literal lights are barely on.